Hi, this is Mike Zero Papa Juliet Alpha Paul, and I'm just going to record a quick session on the use of Whisper, and I'm going to concentrate on using Whisper within the WSJT-X suite of software. And the first thing that we're going to look at is, or I'm going to talk about, is how the setup is. What I have is connected to my computer an ICOM 7100. It has an internal data interface and sound card, and we'll see how that looks in a moment. And it's connected to a long wire which is in a dog leg in my back garden, because it's only a small garden, and it goes via an automatic tuner. So that's the setup we're using, and we're on 20 meters at the moment. So I'll show you the first thing that you probably need to know. So when you plug your radio in and switch it on, it creates some COM ports, and you can see here the two Silicon Lab COM ports, COM4 and COM5, are what is created by my radio, and it also creates a microphone and a set of speakers, and you can see they're entitled USB audio codec, and that's quite important. If you're not sure which of the ones you are from Device Manager, then just power your radio off and power it back on, and they'll disappear and then they'll come back, which gives you a good indication of which is which. If you don't have a radio with an inbuilt data interface, then I really recommend that you look at ZLP Electronics and look at one of their interfaces. I use one with my Yaesu 897, and I have used for about 10 years, and it's an absolutely fantastic data interface. But that's the setup. So as you can see, the audio and the USB inputs there. To get the software, if you go to the WSJT software homepage, you can download the software, and here it is, WSJT-X. That's the current generally available release there, and there's some nice documentation in various languages, but it's very simple to use, and I like it. It's a really good piece of software. So we'll have a look at the software. So the first thing you need to do is, when you start it up, is go to Settings and click on this General tab. You need to enter in your call sign where it says My Call, and you need to enter in your Maidenhead locator where it says your grid reference. Now, if you're not sure what they are, there's a lovely Android app called Ham GPS which you can download, which will give you your Maidenhead locator. There are various tools on that come up in web browsers. All you need to do is just a search for that to get your locator. Next thing is setting up your radio. Here you can see I've got rig specified ICOM 7100. My serial port is COM4, and I'm using a 4800 baud rate. I've found that that's quite sufficient for what we need to do. 8 data bits, 1 stop bit, and hardware flow control seems to work the best for me. Over on this side we have the PTT method, and I'm using the cat control method to control PTT, and mode is data packet. If you don't put your this radio into data packet mode, it won't use the -D options and your data interface, and I found that for split operation the fake it option is the best. Now you have two options down here. So when you've got your radio connected for this time, you can run a test cat, and if it turns green it's good, and once it's tested OK, you can then test your PTT. Now I'm not going to do that now because we've got the software running, and it doesn't really like it if you do that whilst the software is running. But you can test your cat and your PTT out. Once they're working fine, you need to put in your sound card details, and these are the sound card details that we identified from the Device Manager. And as you can see, my input and output specified there. I find they work best in mono, but you can also experiment. The other screen that you probably need to go to start off with is reporting, and I like to enable PSK reporting. We'll have a look at that later. And I also enable logging because I use a number of different logs, and I find that I can pick up the logs from this using this. I note that it says deprecated there. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future. Under the frequencies tab you don't really need to do anything, but you could add in frequencies if you were experimenting. Colours is purely optional, whatever makes it easy for you. And in the advanced section there's nothing really that you need to tick in order to get going. But if you're not sure on any of those options, just have a look at the documentation. Now, as you can see under the mode settings, this WSJT-X software will do quite a number of things. You can see that it will do FT4, FT8, JT4, JT9, JT65, QRA64, ISCAT, MSK144, and we've got Whisper selected. So we're running Whisper, and as you can see it's running Whisper on 20 meters. I like to have everything saved, and I like to have the decode set to deep. It does the best possible decode. Anything you're not sure about, there's a really nice help section. So what I've got set here is 20 meters, and if I scroll back through my history, you'll see earlier today, and in fact overnight, I was running on 40 meters. Now this is just in a monitoring mode, so it's going to pick up the signals that you're receiving. You're also able to TX. Now all you need to do that is to press this enable TX button, and it will turn red. And I've got my TX set to 5% of the time, and the TX channel. I'm also uploading any spots so that we can pick them up on WSPRNet, which we'll look at in a minute. And so I'm using 5 watts with this software. I moved on to 20 meters because I have a number of friends in the US, and I also wanted to see if I could catch any parks on the air this afternoon. So we'll have a look and see if my signals have made it across the pond in a minute. I've also got the waterfall enabled, where you can get a nice visual representation of the signals. But one important thing I haven't mentioned is time, and you need to have a very accurate time on your PC. Now if you're running Windows, then this Dimension 4 software is excellent. If you're running a Linux machine, then you're probably already using, but if you're not, then enable NTP, the Network Time Protocol, and that'll keep your time accurate. So here's the WSPRNet website, and it's quite useful. Normally before I start Whisper, I come on here and I have a look to see, as it splits down the number of stations that are active by band. You will normally see that 40 meters and 20 meters is round about the same number of users. Today there's a bit of a disparity there, which probably suggests the propagation is a little bit better on 40 meters, but I'm not a propagation expert. I just want to work out where I might be able to talk to. And moving down, you can see that we can even move it on down as far as 23 sems. If we look at 70 sems, if I wanted to run any of these tools on 70 sems today, then I probably wouldn't have much success. So it's always worth looking at this section of the website. The other section is the map, and as you can see, this is me over in the UK, and all the areas that my signal has been received, or they're hearing, or I'm hearing, are shown here. So this particular station over in the US is hearing me quite nicely, and that's quite useful. And I'm hearing this particular station over here. So as you click on them, you will either see that in this case he's hearing me and I'm being heard by. So that's that's quite useful. You can set various parameters down in the bottom here. I've put my call sign in. I've asked for a 3-hour period. I've asked for the 20 metre band. If I just change it to 40 metres, and as I said, I was running this over last night, and just click 24 hours, it'll update in a second, all being well, and it'll present us with a new map. And I'll just zoom in a minute. It doesn't quite work terribly well. It's probably gone very dark for you, but you can see there I managed to be heard in Iceland, Finland, right out into Russia, and unless I'm very much mistaken, into Saudi Arabia. So very useful tool. That's what happened in the last 24 hours on 40 metres. But we'll just go back to 20 where I am now and select update again, and it'll have a think about it, and it'll come back with the information. In the meantime, I'd like to show you a couple of other websites which you'll find useful. This is PSKreporter.de, and this will give you a report on many data modes. So if you're thinking of doing, perhaps, as we see here, PSK31, I know this video is really about Whisper, but I thought I'd show you this useful site. It doesn't unfortunately report on Whisper, but it does report on most of the other data modes. You can report on them by just clicking this button here, and it looks like the majority of PSK activities on 20 metres. Not terribly surprising, and currently it's showing me 15 out of 25 entries. You can change the number of entries by changing this box here. And lastly, this is PSKreporter.info. Although it says it can report on Whisper, it's never satisfactorily worked for me. But it reports on lots of other data modes, and they all seem to work. Over the years I've done most of those data modes. I enjoy data modes particularly because I have a slight hearing problem and I find them easier to use. So that's PSKreporter.info. Well, we'll just go back to Whisper finally, and let's bring up the waterfall as well so you can see that, and I'll just enable TX. Now it won't transmit straight away, it'll wait for the next time period to come down, and then it will start transmitting. And this interface will change depending on which of the modes you're running in, but it's a really nice piece of software, and thank you to the people that developed it, and I hope you enjoy it.